do you think you can represent all of Africa?
Me represent Africa is too big for me. I'm only trying to throw out ideas. And so it's only the ideas and principles which I believe in, which I think will be the ultimate help the continent, is what I'm trying to put forward. And if the ideas and principles which I put forward is taken by the great majority of the people, then I think I've done my duty.
Ghana, we now have freedom.
Africa wants a freedom. Africa must be free.
Oracles indicated that Kwame Nkrumah was a devil.
Mr. President, there is a coup.
I've never seen such an explosion of joy.
Accra, Ghana's capital city and the largest city in the country. The word Accra is believed to originate from the Akan word Nkran, meaning ants. It is no wonder that you will see men and women hustling and bustling under the blazing sun to earn a penny or two. In these very streets walked a great man, a man who led Ghana's liberation struggle. His name, Kwame Nkrumah. It was during his reign that Ghana made great developmental strides, like the building of the Tema Township, the Accra-Tema Motorway, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, the Great Akosombo Dam, and of course, his key role in the formation of the Organization of African Union. With Kwame Nkrumah, beyond the borders of Ghana, he is hailed for his achievements.
This decade is the decade of African independence. Forward then to independence. To independence now. Tomorrow, the United States of Africa.
To him, African Union was a passion, and I think he's right. Look at what is happening in Africa now. Congo, the richest country, what is there now? Warlords all over with this private enterprise from outside. They do what they like. I mean, and look at what is happening in all Africa. He foresaw that if we didn't come together, we would be in our present state.
Dr. K.B. Asante was the Secretary of State during Kwame Nkrumah's rule. He recounts Nkrumah's character.
He could be charming when he wanted to, but normally, as someone who worked with him, he was what I would call a charming, hard taskmaster.
He was a good dancer, and he liked music, yes. And we would hear music. But I remember high life music around us.
His smile was infectious.
Perhaps you didn't hear what I said.
That was the charm of Nkrumah, a man who was very committed to Africa. Nkrumah lived and died Africa.
In September of 1909, in a village in the Gold Coast, as Ghana was called then before independence, a son was born. Francis Newyear Kofi Ngonioma, to his father a goldsmith and his mother a retail trader. This name later changed to Kwame Nkrumah. Nkrumah was educated at the prestigious Achimota College in 1930 and thereafter became a teacher.
Nkrumah was a very ordinary human being. He was human like all of us.
On the question of whether I'm going to file a defamation suit against A+, well, I have considered it, but I want to spend the time profitably doing the work that the President has appointed me to do. I don't want this side so going to court every day with you media people on my back. I want to sit. I must first of all begin by apologizing profusely to deal with the arraignment of Mr. Kobina Edugbohin today. And we started late before the High Court. And of course, the Defense Counsel was at their best trying to put impediments in the way of what I was asking the court to do, and we delayed a little bit. But as the Honorable Minister for Government Communications has indicated, I am here today to give you an update of developments relating to our quest as a government to exact accountability as promised by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. You will recall that on March 20th, 2025, I appeared before you to provide a briefing on the arrest and detention of Mr. Kobina Edugbohin, a former director of the National Signals Bureau, and the progress of investigations into the elaborate criminal enterprise that he set up to rob his fellow citizens of millions of Ghana cedis. I informed you then that meticulous investigations undertaken by the Economic and Organized Crimes Office, otherwise known as EOCO, had uncovered a scheme that Mr. Edugbohin set up, which resulted in the loss of 49,100,000 Ghana cedis, or at the prevailing exchange rate in February and March 2020, when the crime took place, the equivalent of 7 million United States of American dollars. At today's exchange rate, this will be 108,500,000 Ghana cedis.
What is the difference between the ordinary thief and a political thief? Number one, the ordinary thief steals your money, your bag, your watch, and your jewelry, isn't it? But the political thief steals your future, your career, your education, your health, and your business. Number two, the hilarious part is that the ordinary thief will choose whom to rob. But you are the one who choose the political thief to rob you. Because we choose them. We vote them. We blindly say we are not blind. Who is deceiving who? The ridiculous part of the whole issue is that we will fight to defend and protect our belongings from the ordinary thief. Is it not? But we fight each other to defend and protect the political thief. Is that not what we do? Thugs will be fighting themselves to protect those that are stealing our career, stealing our joy, stealing our health, stealing our success. What a shame. What is the difference between the ordinary thief and a political thief?
Government is broke, government is broke. But people are spending billions to go inside the government that is broke. Have you ever seen a minister who resigned because government is broke before? Government has no money. Have you ever seen a governor who said, ladies and gentlemen, when I was elected, I thought the government had money. Now I discover government has no money, I resign. Have you ever seen it? Government has no money, but they are bringing money out at election time. Where is that money coming from? So they are lying. What is happening is that there are two types of wicked people in government. Type 1, they eat current money. Any money they find in government, they will eat it. They are wicked about that one. There is type 2. Type 2, they eat current money and future money. They will say, my term will end next year. When I leave, how will I eat money? Let me borrow money now and borrow money of the future and eat it now.
Hello, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on Good Morning Ghana here on Metro Television. My name is Aldo Moro. Today is, as you do know, today is 1st May, and 1st May is our day, which is Workers' Day. And here we're recognizing the contributions and the sacrifices that are made by the workers of this country. And we would be celebrating them on the show today. But all the same, let's give a big thanks to the Almighty God for keeping us alive and kicking. And we're back again to have a conversation on what's happening in our dear country, Ghana. But as you do know, today the newspapers have obviously, they're resting. Today's Workers' Day. But we're here. And but we still have some stories that we would want to let you in on the show today. So I'm just going to be looking at some topical headlines that we believe that you may be interested in. So there are some headlines like, I know it is not easy, but I'm not here to complain. Energy Minister vows to fix power woes. There's, I won't fall with you. John Jinapo says he'll fire non-performing ECG CEO to save himself. And then, I disagree with calls to suspend Thank You Tour, Nana B. And we resist linking Unity Hall stabbing to perceived Bawumia Kennedy-Japan rivalry, Nana B. There's also, I've called for MPP presidential primaries to be conducted very early, Nana B. Mahama appoints Charlotte Osei to Tobi Kwachi, 7 others to Ghana Gas Board. Gold Board extends deadline for gold dealers to reapply for licenses. There's Ahiagba applauds Ken Ejapon for withdrawing from Thank You Tour. Labour Department launches jobs roadshow to promote free employment services. CJ's suspension. Mahama did not violate the constitution, according to the AG. Ghana Water Company Limited, or GWL, paid 1.5 million cedis monthly to Edu Boahen for internet services. Ayene. Ex-NSB boss wife charged for allegedly stealing 49 million cedis. Edu Boahen wife, 2 others plead not guilty to 49 million cedis corruption charges. Vice President backs mental health advocacy at launch of 2025 Purple Month. So these are some of the headlines that we believe you would be interested in knowing. And so we'll take a short break, as we always do. And when we come back, we would be letting you on our guest for today. Today is May Day, as we've said to you, and it's going to be a special day for us. So we'll take it a little easy, but the conversation will still be had. Please stay with us.
Sometimes the unexpected happens and the hero falls down in his own story. But he needs not stay down for long. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance is your trusted health partner. Whether an individual building a business, with Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern. For the best health insurance solutions for corporate institutions, groups and associations, families and individuals, choose Cosmopolitan Health Insurance from our over 700 accredited health service providers nationwide. Call us on 0302 540 668 or 0501 678 547 for all your health insurance solutions. Cosmopolitan Health Insurance, your medical care is our concern.
Fire pomudi ni agubi Ghana fueni aji efri say ya your local spices na ya frafra dia ya sankofa natural spice
me de go me jollof mu ni mi sti wa hodoma e ma ne dance
Stanley the barbecue the go on
sankofa natural spices and one you use 100% natural said the happen
Adofo mamunye huge mistake sankofa natural spices the
FDA ji ejedi nkratu yatu
Ama, na se mi jeno wo bin enko ye kwa o. Ama ma ye bohu se kontomra akija.
Na se me hu se me nyo basi makura. Ama me kunu me into kwankwa. Oh you right. Enye mo ko. Give us GC mixture and in the capsules. Ah ye num boom. En ho asem na mo kana. E boa emma ene meme nyina. Na ma wo ba ye obesima. Na be ma so aye be masima. Ya, we be bua wuku. Ama ne giant sa wo de hye ne botum. Na wanyinya na nim tisese ni oyi chokmo. GC mixture and a capsule. Achisa.
A pin for a batter, one more menu for one kwada when if you do me Achisa.
Yes, next. Hey, Nadia Benson.
Me didn't tum. Mr. Femi Kalika, just call me cockroach. Now, Mr. Femi once now.
Hey, is that you? Improve car. Yeah. Captain Mosquito, double the action.
Sasso spray. Mr. Femi Sasso quell. Yeah, go to my Sasso.
Sasso, come on, Tom Preco.
Hello, my friends. My name is Calcate Toothpaste.
Wow.
I was made to be gentle on your gum, but protected. I will protect your teeth from cavity, make your teeth whiter, stronger, keep your mouth fresh all day. And best of all, I'm strawberry flavored. So put on a smile and try me.
That's amazing.
Just try me. That's my job.
If you say so, jump on my brush.
Makes your teeth stronger, chicky whiter, chicky stronger. Yay! You did it!
I'm glad you like your new toothpaste. Don't forget to brush both day and night.
Calcates. Happy smile.
Where to get polytan?
Oh, and you're fine.
Go straight.
Oh, I don't want to left, right.
And that's right. Ghana na yewono. So we need Jumwa and a data. Oh no! Abe, na here, me pe politan kato. Enu nti na me nua ba yotu pe bia me na ba hejo. Ofu ka bia, ese entwa ye kura.
Ba ku ya bulambo kotoman. Emu ha.
Like they took my eyes. Go to the distributor and you give the original Polytank. Polytank, Papananka. You hear the sound?
Polytank, Papananka Sankasa.
The support, cooperation, input, and feedback government received to fine-tune eventually the domestic debt exchange program were unprecedented and reassuring. In undertaking the domestic debt exchange program, we have been very mindful of its potential impact on the pension funds of workers. We will not act in any way to shortchange workers in protecting their pensions. It is for this reason that government, through an MOU signed with organized labor on 22nd December 2022, decided to grant exemption to all pension funds in the domestic debt exchange program. At the same time, in the MOU, both government and organized labor agreed to work together, quote, to explore mutually beneficial options within debt sustainability limits, and to also promote macroeconomic stability and economic recovery in the spirit of social partnership, unquote. In this regard, within global risk management practice, the options should include diversifying the portfolio of pension funds from the current 70% in government paper to real sector investments, including rail, housing, urban transportation, motorways, and airports, as is done by other pension funds. I'm aware that both the Minister for Finance and the Minister for Employment and Social Relations and their technical teams have been working with organized labor and its associations and pension fund managers and trustees to explore these mutually beneficial options. I'd like to use this occasion.
Until the pandemic, we were year on year during my first term one of the fastest growing economies in the entire world. The global landscape was subsequently severely impacted by external factors beyond our control, foremost amongst them being the COVID-19 pandemic, which reared its pernicious head in 2020 and 2021. The devastating effects of the pandemic reverberated across the world. The devastating effects of the pandemic causing widespread disruption to economies, including our own difficulties, leading to increased volatility in global markets and heightened uncertainty. It would be ostrich-like to deny these compelling facts.
International Workers' Day, also known as Labor Day in most countries, is a day set aside to celebrate the workers' achievements throughout the year.
Okay, so you're still live on Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. This show is also live on 94.1 FM, and it's on a radio dial and it's crystal clear, 94.1 FM. So my guests, one of my guests is seated, and we would kickstart our conversation shortly. But before we do that, a big acknowledgement to Polytank Papano. Polytank Papano, yes. Well, Charlie, this is Ghana. You only get deceived if you're not sure of what you're buying or you don't really know the market. When it comes to water storage tanks, the name we all know is Polytank. It has been with us for over 30 years and has been trusted by all these generations. So make no mistake, always choose Polytank for guaranteed quality. It's available at the same price across the country at Polytank partner shops. So be it Rambo, be it Hippo, Sumo, or Super Sumo, durability is always assured. Polytank, the original, always the best. Papano and Casa and Casa. And please, Polytank does not request for Momo payments online. So as I always say, buyer beware. I think the lawyers, there's something they call caveat emptor or something. The lawyers have a way of saying it. I think I'm right. I know. One of my guests will correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, so buyers beware. Let me also say big thanks to Blue Jeans Energy Drink, my favorite Blue Jeans Energy Drink. It's been on the Ghanaian market for more than 20 years, and it has numerous vitamins that it gives us, vitamin 2, vitamin B2, B3, B6, B12, as well as taurine and guarana, which are known to boost your strength and your energy, as well as promote high performance and endurance. And Blue Jeans Energy Drink has been tested and it's been tried. We know it and we can testify that it is indeed the best. Blue Jeans Energy Drink is for bold and active men and women. It is in shops nationwide, and so if you want to buy them in bulk, please call Budget Cash and Carry Limited on 0208 128 190, 128 190, or 055 001 0000, 055 001 0000. So, having acknowledged our partners or our business partners for the Good Morning Ghana program, we'll just go straight ahead and look at some of the big issues that we believe we ought to bring to your attention. As I did mention, the newspapers are not out today. Of course, it's a holiday, it's Workers' Day, and so it's perfectly understandable. But there's still a conversation that ought to be had, and it's about the plight of the Ghanaian worker. On today being International Labour Day, here we call it Workers' Day, which falls on the 1st of May, which essentially seeks to acknowledge the contributions and the sacrifices, the commitment and the instrumental role that workers have played over the years in fighting for their right and better pay and all the things that come with it. And so, if you look at this year's theme, it says, "Together, building a sustainable future of work." And we think that it is important. It's important. It's a very useful and very relevant theme for this year's celebration. Now, joining us today is Ishaq Ibrahim, who is a private legal practitioner, also a teacher of the law at UPSA, and also a member of the MPP's legal directorate. But of course, when he's called to duty to speak for the party, he does just that. And so this morning he's joined us. He's a worker too, but we won't allow him to sleep and get some rest with his family. He's here. Ishaq, it's always a pleasure to have you join us.
Thank you very much.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam to you. Yeah. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Good morning to every Ghanaian, especially to our workers. Especially today is your day, and we need to celebrate it in style. But as you said, obviously, we'll be discussing many problems that affect the workers and how best can we promote the welfare of people who work under us, especially the private sector. I think that's where most of my submission is going to go. Especially people who are at the lower level in the private sector. Yes, because as the office say, we are all in it together. So if it is a republic, we are building it. We need to make sure that nobody left behind. And
it's important.
Yes.
It's important. You know, we're celebrating a day like this, and sometimes I ask myself whether, I will ask us how many people, apart from the holidays, that we'll get to enjoy, but how many people would want to say they are proud workers of this country? If you look at the very difficult and unfavorable working conditions under which most of our workers work under. and it's not something that you'll be proud of. I mean, you're working at the end of the day, but your salary cannot take you home.
That's right.
You know, and I'm speaking figuratively. Your salary cannot.
But it's really true. If you look at our minimum wage, 19.7. If that's your minimum wage for a day, and let's assume an employer who wants to just stay by the law, give you 19.7.
Even if you take,
how do you go home?
If you round it up to 20 cedis.
Okay, let's say it is. So you have breakfast from it, within it, you have lunch, you have supper and transport. Obviously, you will not even be able to get 2 square meals. Even 1 meal will be a problem. So you are very right. You might go to work. At the close of the day, you might be stranded on your way home. It's really a problem. It's really a
major issue. It's a major issue. I mean, you know, salary is just one.
Yes.
Sometimes the environment, the work environment, you may be earning some fairly good salary, but also the working environment sometimes can be very toxic.
Yes.
Because there's disrespect from the top to the down.
That's right.
There's no work, there's no promotion.
That's right.
People don't see their own. I mean, they can't see themselves in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years what they would become.
Working there.
You know, I mean, the whole worker welfare system is just poor.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so like you said, there's quite a number of issues that we'll look at briefly before we move on to some other issues. But my favorite labor department, whom sometimes I feel have been too dormant.
Yeah.
They've been very busy. There's a story that I headlined earlier today, and let me bring to you what the Labor Department, which arguably has been in comatose, but they've just woken up to their responsibility. But there's a story here, and the story says that. So I look at it. I look at that story. It's here. So we just thought that it's a very important story because of the day, the importance of the day. Yeah. So I'd look at that. And so Labour Department launches what it calls the Jobs Roadshow to promote free employment services. And it says that the Ghana Labour Department has launched the Jobs. It's called a Just One Bold Step. So in short, jobs, just one bold step. A roadshow campaign, an initiative aimed at raising awareness about free employment services offered by the department and public employment centers across the country. The campaign is designed to tackle Ghana's persistent employment and career development challenges by actively engaging job seekers, employers, and employment service providers. It also seeks to promote legal migration pathways and enhance access to critical labor, market information, and skill development support. Speaking to journalists at the launch on Wednesday, April 30, Chief Labour Officer Dauda Ibrahim Brahima affirmed the department's preparedness to deliver on its mandate and urged job seekers to fully utilize the services available under the campaign. Ghanaians should expect the best of service from the Labour Department of the Ministry of Labour, Jobs and Employment, our partner GIZ, in terms of labour market information, job offerings, counselling services, and skill training, which are really, strictly speaking, what their role or function is. So, and it says that we have done it together with GIZ, and we believe that we shall continue to do it and offer the best for the people. He stated, on her part, Charlotte Hansen, who is the Public Relations Officer for the Ministry of Labour, Jobs and Employment, notes that the campaign would also help the government build a comprehensive database of job seekers through the labour market information system. One of the responsibilities is that they should be able to generate holistic data for government decisions and interaction. We currently have a labour system interaction that has been developed, and it was the World Bank that assisted us to be able to come up with that system. She explained. The Jobs Roadshow is expected to move across key regions in the country, offering career guidance on the spot registration for job seekers and linking skilled individuals to prospective employers. In principle, it's a good idea. But before you go ahead, let me just say that Mr. Abraham Amaliba, who is the Executive Director for the National Road Safety Commission, was supposed to be here. We're waiting for him to join us on the show. But his phones are off, so please, if there's anybody who's watching the show who knows Abraham Amaliba, please tell him that we're expecting him here shortly. And it's very unlike him, so we just want to hope that everything is fine. Usually once he gives his word and he says that he wants to, once he gives us his word that he'll be here, he joins us. And so for him not to be here at 12 minutes past 8, we're worried that perhaps something untoward may have happened to him. We're just concerned, that's all. So if there's anybody who can reach Abraham Amaliba and tell him that we're waiting for him here on Good Morning Ghana, please let him know if everything is okay. Yeah. So let's. So you're giving us your general thoughts about today being International Labour Day.
Yeah.
But of course, I had to come in to do what I needed to do. So now I'm back to you. So your general thoughts about today being a Labour Day, and then we can look at some specifics.
Yes. So as you rightly said, it is a very, very important day, especially for the workers. In every country development, the workforce is very, very important. In fact, if you see countries that are doing very well, I was looking at a program that the Americans and the Chinese, Jack Ma was trying to explain something about. The Americans' argument was about how, because of cheap labor in China, is why China is doing better. And most of the American companies have left the United States to China because of cheap labor. And Jack Ma said they are living in a different world. China is no longer a cheap labor economy. It's because of the skilled labor workforce. And in fact, some of the Americans actually agree that if you go to one particular area, you get a large pool of skilled labor that you don't have to go to other parts of the country to recruit them. So skilled labor is, for that matter, it's very, very, very important. And I think if you look at other areas like nursing and other areas, we seem to have oversupplies of them to the extent that I think the previous government, the current government, is even thinking about sending them elsewhere. So we need to really celebrate, and we need to make sure that the next generation of workers, we train them very well, skillfully. And we are not just talking about rewarding them, but how best we enhance their skills, especially as the world is talking about AI and other things. Are we putting focus on those particular areas? And you also talk about, we are not just talking about rewards as well. Job satisfaction is very, very important in our today's world. Nobody should continue to work somewhere they are not happy. For me, I wouldn't take it. I remember when I was being recruited to be a lecturer at the UPSA. By then, I was already doing similar work in the UK. They asked me how much my salary was, and I mentioned. And they said, how much salary do I expect? And I said, you tell me. I did not actually put my mind to the salary aspect. But then the emphasis I put was that sometimes it is not the salary. It is about job satisfaction. Are you happy where you are? And it seems a lot of people in this country are generally not happy where they are. And we need to find out the reason why they are not really happy. Because I've spoken to a couple of people who seem to think that, look, if I have a choice, I will not be here. And that can affect productivity. What is causing it? Is it boss-subordinate relationship? As you said, sometimes health and safety at work can affect people. Are you happy where you are, or you are not happy? If you are not happy, are you concerned about your safety? I'm sure maybe those of us teaching in the classroom, perhaps in the rural area, they may have health and safety problems, because I hear some people teaching in an unsafe environment. But I think our environment in a city like Accra is generally safer. But there are some people who are working in the industries. We have to make sure that health and safety at work is taken very seriously to safeguard the individuals. You go to work to make money, and you expect to return home safely. So if that is what is creating job satisfaction problem, then we need to deal with that. Or even disputes at work can affect people job satisfaction level. So maybe poor relationship with your bosses, or some bosses are probably making unreasonable demands. We also have issues of sexual harassment at work. I'm not saying it's very high in Ghana, but I say that people facing sexual harassment at work, it can affect the job satisfaction. Then we then come to talk about the actual rewards taken home. I mean, if you agree with me, if you compare Ghana to the rest of the world, we seem to also be lacking behind when it comes to reward. I believe that the Ghanaian worker is not adequately rewarded. We can do better. In fact, if you look at the lower level, people in the public sector are even better than people in the private sector.
Right.
I was shocked to know that in Ghana, people take home monthly salary of 150 Ghana cedis a month. Some people take home 200 Ghana cedis a month, especially the watchmen and that of the security men.
250 Ghana cedis a month?
Yes, yes. I've seen a watchman, I've even sympathized with a person. I was asked by a friend to give a monthly salary to a watchman. And I was shocked to know his salary was 120 Ghana cedis. I tried to sympathize with him, to empathize. And he said, I'm even receiving better. There's somebody who is receiving lower. And I mean, this currently we hear about these Zoomlion people taking home 250 Ghana cedis.
Yeah, but that's...
If that is the only source of income for them, how do they survive?
Right.
You see that? So there's no politics to it. I'm just meaning the average Ghanaian. It doesn't really matter.
Except to say that with the Zoomlion one,
yes.
it is not Zoomlion that's paying 250, it's the government that's paying 250. Zoomlion just pre-finances it. So we have to put it in proper context. So that it doesn't...
yes.
Yeah,
but what I'm trying to say, the worker, I was talking about worker. That's why I said there's no politics into it. I'm just thinking about what they receive.
I get it.
If what they receive as a salary...
The reason why this is important because there's a certain misinformation which is out there.
And I understood the 250 was actually an improvement. They used to take 150.
Yeah, about 190.
So the 250 was actually an improvement. But we are not just talking about Zoomlion people. We are saying that people who does work need to be rewarded. And as you also said, there's also another downside to it. I think it was
and again, we also have to let the public know that the 250 is actually an allowance. It's not a salary.
It's not a salary. Whatever it is meant to help them with their cost of living.
I get that.
You see that? Yes. So, but the point I'm just trying to make, I think the next point was the fact that, I think President Kufuor or somebody famous said that sometimes the Ghanaian worker pretend they are working, and then the government or the employer also pretend they are paying them.
Okay.
So that aspect, the work culture too, we need to take it seriously.
Okay.
There are some employees as well who are not very helpful, especially on Fridays. I hope it has improved. I remember 1998 when I had my first job. Sometime Friday by 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, people seem to be going home. Or sometimes people don't just appear. And if you look at other sectors, I mean, in some countries, people are pressured to work because they are paid on an hourly basis. I'm not sure whether the fact that almost everybody is a salary worker. Because few people seem to be wage workers in Ghana. So most of it is salary workers. Most people will not even turn up to work. There's no explanation for it. So I seem to have concerns about it. I also think our public holidays, I have an issue about them. Because declaring a public holiday will cost government a lot of money. Look at the number of people who will be paid for no work done. We need to look at our public holidays. Those that are, I'm not saying there are some that are unnecessary. It could be that they are all necessary. But those which are unnecessary, we need to do away with them. Is it because of politics we put them, or the Ghanaian worker really need such a public holiday? Because it can really cost the public purse. And if you're a private person, if a public holiday is extended, it means that it's adding extra cost to the employer, especially in the private sector, of which some of these employers are already struggling. So if you are struggling, you have a number of workers who will sit home, no productivity, but they still have to be paid because somebody is doing it for maybe political reason. Not necessarily the people need that public holiday. We need to look into that aspect. But to summarize it properly, I'm a lecturer, so here I'm going to be a slight selfish by advocating that the Ghanaian lecturer is really, really underpaid. I heard of a story of a Zimbabwean. As we stand today, Ghana is doing far better than Zimbabwe. But a Zimbabwean lecturer was recruited by Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. He was very excited to join the university. But later, when he saw his salary, he was very shocked. He turned it down on the basis that lecturers in Ghana was poorly paid. And he wasn't prepared to leave Zimbabwe to come to Ghana. So I think we need to attract our best into our universities. If you look at other countries, they are doing very well because university education is equally taken very, very seriously. And if because of poor salary, you are not able to attract your best to go to universities, they have to go elsewhere before they can make a better living. Then we are having a problem.
Yeah.
I'm not saying other sectors are not important.
Okay.
But what I saw, and I saw the turnover is quite high.
Okay.
Because since I joined my department, I've seen a number of people leaving. And this year, I hear people saying, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go there.
Yeah.
And sometimes the private universities even pay better.
Okay.
So that aspect, I would advocate that the government would need to look at the salary structure of the university lecturers. Otherwise, we may be building a white elephant.
Okay.
Because while you prioritize and said, no tuition fee for first years, but the person actually teaching them, they are well paid. Especially the evening students. Some of the evening students, when you listen to their salary, you get shocked. The person teaching them cannot even earn that particular aspect. But I need to emphasize that it is not just about this government I'm talking about. Okay. They are poorly paid because previous government have not taken that aspect very seriously. I don't know whether it's because of resource constraints, but if the fact that a government is now giving first years not to pay school fees, I believe we can do something about the lecturer.
Okay.
Otherwise, you might get a student into the classroom and there will not be anybody to actually teach them,
All right.
or somebody well qualified to teach them.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Let me say that thankfully, and we're happy, Dieu merci, Mr. Abraham Amaliba has joined us. He's a private legal practitioner himself and also the managing director, in fact, acting managing director of the, in fact, Director General, let me rather put it, it's acting Director General of the National Road Safety Authority. He's also joined us this morning. Counsel, good morning. Awogi.
Moro.
Good to see you.
Thanks.
And good morning to you.
We were worried.
Yeah, I'm not too well. I took some medicine yesterday night, so it took me.
Oh, okay.
I woke up late.
Oh.
So if I'm not firing on all cylinders,
that's because you're not feeling too well.
I'm not too fine.
What it means, Ishak is going to have a field day then, because you're not able to fast.
We're here for workers today.
I would resist him. I would resist him with all my sickness.
Right. You know, we were a bit, because I was just telling our viewers that it's very unlike you. And to report late for the conversation. Once it's 7:30, you're here. And so we're a bit worried.
Yeah,
and
so
we're telling
I
people
apologize.
that if there's anybody who knows, who is closer to you, the person should just nudge you that we're waiting for you.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's good to see you once again. It's been a while.
Yes.
And I think it's only fair because you are also you are also managing workers and you're a worker yourself.
Yeah.
And at National Road Safety Authority, how have you been faring since your appointment? Because this is the first time you've joined us since your appointment. How's National Road Safety Authority doing, and how are you finding the job since you assumed office?
Well, like any public sector institution, there are challenges, but I don't focus on the challenges. I think that wherever I am, I bring changes too. And you have been following me. You know that whatever position they give me, I turn it around. So you can see in recent times, the Road Safety Authority is in the news for good reasons. Ever since I took over, I've looked at the laws. I know it's a sleeping giant. The institution is a sleeping giant. The laws empower us to regulate the road sector. And we are not the ones who fix the challenges on the road. In other words, we are not the ones who fix the road infrastructure, but we are the ones who regulate those who fix the road infrastructure. So, for instance, if your street lights are not working, it is not the road safety that fixes it, but the road safety can call on those who are supposed to fix it to do the right thing. If not, we have what is called compliance notices. We can issue them with a compliance notice, and we can sue them in court. Ours is to ensure that safety on our roads is paramount. So we have been doing this. I have issued some compliance notices to Ghana Highways Authority in respect of the Kumasi Road. There's a river called River Brim. The two sides of those rivers, the rail guards are all broken. Cars easily fall in. The last time I visited there, I saw a red car in the river. Then when it comes to street lighting, we work with the urban roads. When it comes to no, street lighting is the district assemblies and then Energy Commission. But when it comes to traffic lights, we work with the urban roads. So we are keeping them on our toes, and we are also talking to drivers, educating them as to ensure that they drive safely on our roads. The accident rates are also increasing. And I call all the transport operators in this country, in Accra, to meet me at Irata Hotel. We spoke about it. So I am yet to meet with the district assemblies who provide the street lighting and other things. And that meeting is scheduled to take place somewhere next month. Yeah.
Okay. So I think that congratulations are in order, and we can only wish you well. I have known you personally for perhaps more than 15 years, and I know what your capacity and capabilities are, and I have no doubt at all that you would make this country proud in that role that you have just assumed. So we would have some more time to talk about your authority and what it does and so on and so forth. That's an entire conversation. But for now, we're looking at the plight of our workers. Today is Workers' Day, and we're asking whether we want to know what the plight of the Ghanaian worker is and what we can do to improve it. Just before you came, Ishak was talking about the shock, for instance, that he endured when he had to relocate to Ghana. And he's looking at the salary he was earning when he was living in England as compared to what he is earning today in Ghana. But for his sense of patriotism and his sense of nationalism, he probably would have gone back. And that the salary levels generally across the board is none to be proud of. It's very, very, very poor. But beyond that, it's also matters of, an environment within which we work, and whether the kind of environment that we create in our various workplaces engender personal growth and development, and also the fact that we're not paying attention to persons who are earning far less than the daily minimum wage, and they don't even know who to call, who to draw, whose attention they must draw to how their bosses are treating them, and so they take the salaries like that. He was talking about a security man who was earning 120 Ghana cedis. That security man, I'm sure, doesn't even know who to call and complain that, look, this is how I'm being treated. And so they take it like that. And it's not just a security man. If you go to a lot of these companies that have employed our citizens, especially the foreign companies, I don't want to mention the name of any company, but if you look at some of the salaries that they are paying them, it's extremely disturbing. And then when they see you, when you enter these shops or you enter some of these malls, they look at you and they would follow you everywhere because they're looking for tips. And then you ask them, what's the problem? So say, I'm earning 450, I'm earning 500 Ghana, I'm earning 6. Yes, you may have complied with the minimum wage, but when you look at the kind of work the person is doing as against what their person is being paid, I mean, it's sad. So I don't know what your thoughts are as far as this day is concerned, International Labour Day, Workers' Day.
Well, today is an internationally recognized day, the whole world. Yesterday I was watching the football between Barcelona and
Inter,
and the commentator was saying that tomorrow being a holiday, so it tells you that this day is globally recognized as a holiday. And also, it is derived from the French word "maida," which means help me. Mayday means help me. And I'm sure it came from the suffering of workers who then were asking to be helped. They used to work more than 8 hours a day, and they thought that was exploitative. And so the agitation started, and this day has come to pass. And that's how we came by this 8 hours working in a day. But it is true that workers' salaries are not good. And it's not just about public sector workers, but entirely. When you look at some institutions, you look at the salary scale, you'll find sometimes, just an example, the chief executive will take 30,000. Then the one who is next to the chief executive takes 5,000. Then you have 2,000. Then you have 1,000. That's how it graduates. So you see, And so there are, sometimes you look at the pay structure, and about 5 top-ranking officers alone bloat the pay structure. Then when you look at the rest, it's just peanuts. Yeah. Now, what do we do? That's why we brought in the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. They did some rationalization. But I think that it's about time the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission goes back to do some review. Because I remember when the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission dealt with salaries in the public sector, I can still remember, people in the private sector calling me, asking that, can I get them jobs in the public sector? They were now trying to go into the public sector. It happened. You'll be surprised.
Yeah, but your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah.
Why they would prefer the public sector to the private sector?
Yeah, why?
Yeah, because the thing about the public sector is that it's free money.
No, not that. Then they had adjusted salaries in the public sector, and it was so lucrative.
Okay. Oh, because
when the fair wages,
as a consequence,
yes, when the single spine came,
the single spine salary structure.
When the single spine came. So, but now there are a lot of distortions. So we need to go back and look at the salary structure again by the Fair Wages and Salary Commission. But Ishak mentioned, and you also attributed same. People don't know, workers don't know where to go. They must know where to go. They must be aware that there's a labor commission where your employer treats you badly. You go to the labor commission, particularly when they are not paying your statutory payments. Senate. There are some people, employers who don't pay Senate.
True.
So,
but the thing is that the staff themselves don't even check
whether they are being paid
they don't
or
check.
not. They don't. Some don't check.
They don't check.
Yes.
I see my salary. I'm good to go.
Yeah, you go. I have had my private practice where workers have come to me, complain about the non-payment of their Senate benefits and to the Senate. And I had to write a letter to the companies that they work in, and they quickly paid. Because the companies also know that it is against the law not to pay, and they know there are sanctions. And you are aware of this weekend courts for Senate, where if you don't pay your Senate, they send you to court and you are charged. So the Labor Commission is there. Even the Ministry of Labor is there that can receive your complaints and process them. But it is a chicken and egg situation. Must there be productivity, or must productivity increase before you get your salary increased? Or your salary is increased expecting that you produce more? And that is what employers have been battling with.
But why should this matter, Honorable? Why should this matter be a debatable issue?
Which is what?
I'm sitting somewhere. You set up a company. You say you need my services to be able to deliver whatever goods or services that you want to deliver.
There's entry point salary. You saw it. You also took it.
No, that's fine. No, the point I'm trying to make is that there are cases where people go to look for jobs. That's there. There are also cases where people look for people to come and work for them. So what we call headhunting.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Now I'm saying that when you approach somebody and you tell them that you need their services in whatever capacity or whatever role, okay, don't you think that it is only fair and proper and it's common sense that you hand over the tools that the person needs, which for me includes even their salary, right? Which is GIGO. What you put in is what you would ordinarily or naturally expect the person to produce. So pay the person well and demand that the person delivers. Okay, when it even comes to somebody who came looking for a job, okay, now when the person is even looking for a job and you employ the person, okay, to come and work with you, for me, it really wouldn't even matter, because at the end of the day, you say, I want you to lift this object from this place for me to that place. And then you say, how much would you take? Or how much will it take for me to get you to do that job? And you say, well, I'll be able to do it. I'll take, say, 1,000 Ghana or 2,000 or 3,000 Ghana cedis. And then you say, okay. So my point is there's some negotiations, and then you agree on something. If the person who wants to come and work with you does not negotiate properly, and they end up being totally underpaid, that's a different matter. But you have a situation where some companies just don't want to pay, but they want the work to be done.
So we are talking about two things here.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I get you.
They don't want to pay in the name of, oh, we don't have money, we don't have money. But if you don't have money, then shut the company up. Shut it down.
So what you are talking about is quite different, where you negotiate for your payment, you negotiate for your salary, you get in there, and there are now complaints coming.
And there's a complaint that we don't have money.
We don't have money, we can't pay that. That's quite a different one. But what I'm talking about is you're already in the system, you're already working, you've been working for the past 3, 4, 5 years, but you are agitating for salary increment.
No, of course, that's different.
Yes, and that's then different. The employer also says that, look,
we're not generating enough revenue.
There should be a correlation between productivity and increment.
Yes.
I'm not seeing the KPIs showing that you are meeting your targets. Then the worker also says that, look, I need to be motivated. I need to be incentivized to be able to work and ensure that I bring in the best of myself. So that is where sometimes there's this clash. But it is the duty of the employer to provide the employee with his working tools. So if you employ me, but you don't give me the tools to work, you don't expect productivity to go high. And if productivity doesn't go high, you don't turn around to blame me. It is your duty to provide me with the working tools. So there are so many researches on these matters. And there are also instances where there's this discrimination. I think women feel they are paid less than men in some instances. And so women too have their own issues. Women who work, working class women too have their own issues, thinking that they are paid less than, and in South Africa there's that study where women are paid less, particularly those who do domestic chores. Domestic chores, they pay the men higher than the women. And so we need to, as it were, sit down and look at all these things. But it is true. It is true. Even with my establishment, the workers there are complaining about low salaries because they see analogous institutions that they are all in the same category.
Yeah.
And the salaries there are higher than their salaries. So these are some of the things that I'll be taking up with the new head of Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. Yeah.
Yes. So there's got to be a way to rationalize the salary so that if I am working at a place where I believe my services, or let's say I'm working with an entity, okay, that I believe are rendering similar services as somebody else. I want to be able to earn a salary which is comparable to
that person,
to the other person, and that's fair. But you talked about, Ishak talked about whether, especially within the public service, whether those who are clamoring for better pay are also giving back to these public institutions what they ought to give back.
Yeah.
So that it is not enough to say, pay me more, but what is it that you're giving back to? And we all have complained several times about the attitude of some public servants. And so when you go to some of these public institutions where people are just seated, doing nothing, reading newspapers and watching telenovela and so on. And yet, when it comes to those who are clamoring for better pay, they are the ones who will be leading the charge.
So that's why I was talking about the chicken and egg situation. Now, I think that there should be clear KPIs. Time has come where we have gotten to, time has actually come for us to start firing people who don't meet their targets. It is the only way, because in some jurisdictions...
But isn't that why, how do you call it, SIGA?
Is there?
State Interest and Governance Authority. I think that's why SIGA...
Yeah, SIGA
it used to be DICE, isn't it? Divestiture Implementation.
No, it used to be State Enterprise Commission.
Sorry, yes.
State Enterprises Commission.
Yes.
So we need to now begin to crack the whip and give clear, KPIs.
Okay.
in some jurisdictions, that is what is used to measure output. And where I'm talking about, I asked FEDA, and they said that, what do you do to the person when you do you dismiss him? And they said no. They would send that person back to training. They would refer him to go back to training, unless you are so terribly bad.
Okay.
That's when they will dismiss you.
Okay.
But they will send you back for training and bring you back and see whether your output would increase. But if we don't do that, SIGA does that, but SIGA does not apply the last aspect of it, which is discipline those people, dismiss them for failing to meet their KPIs. And that's when the president met the chief executives and told the chief executives that at the hotel near the race course.
Oh, what's the name of this?
Gold Coast, Kempinski, yes.
Yeah, Kempinski, yes.
So when he met us, he told us point blank that some institutions are not doing well, and you have not been appointed to go there and sit as chief executive without doing anything. And that time is coming when those institutions will be closed down or merged with other institutions, and if you are not performing well, you will be asked to leave. And he actually told us that if there's anybody here who thinks that he's not prepared to work, he should raise up his hand.
Okay.
And there was nobody raising up the hand, and said that, look, this is not the end. If you go and reports come to me that you are not performing, I am going to fire you. I think that when he carries this through, most of the chief executives will be up and doing.
Okay.
I am of the view that if people begin to know that somebody is watching them, and as human beings, you know that we don't do what people expect us to do. We do what people expect of us.
That's true.
So, you know, when we're in school, the only time you dress your bed is when there's the headmaster or the housemaster is coming to inspect. And then you dress up.
Yeah.
But it should be a routine thing. So if we begin to see that there's a big man somewhere watching over our work, and that it can lead to us losing our jobs, that's where we'll begin to be up and doing.
And for me, but look, I am so passionately concerned about the plight of our citizens who work, again, I'm going to repeat it, with these expatriate companies. And Honorable, I don't know whether you've also observed it. I don't know whether some of them have also approached you and told you what the kind of environment within which they're working.
The expatriate companies, sad. For them, there's some attitude towards the Ghanaian worker.
Terrible.
They look down upon our people. That's one. Two, they pay them slave wages.
Thank you.
They do that. Three, the authorities do not, as it were, come down heavily on them when they infringe upon our laws. I can understand if you are high-handed, which will lead to, say, lack of investor confidence. But you don't come and invest in my country and you turn around and become what I would term as a disrespectful show of lack of humanity to our people. If one such, and I'm going to mention the place, go to Accra Mall.
Okay.
The phone people, those people on the right.
Yes, I know them. I don't want to mention any, but I know them.
These ladies are virtually made to stand the whole day. They are not allowed to sit.
Huh?
Yes, because they have to be attentive. They are not allowed to sit. For the 8 hours, some they run shift. So morning, afternoon. For that whole period, they are standing. One other company too.
Within the same Accra Mall.
Now they are at American House.
Yes.
They are also into phones. They have also picked that same attitude from these Accra Mall guys. And the ladies who serve when you enter, they try to help you to figure out which phone to buy, are all made to stand. The last time before then, they had some small stools and they sit on. Now, those things have been taken away. One of them approached me and told me, that's what is happening. How can a lady stand on her feet for, say, let's say, even 8 hours? It's happening.
And I'm told when they complain, they abuse them verbally.
Oh, yeah.
And then they drive them away and they tell them that, look, there are
more
thousands,
people looking for jobs.
Thousands CVs of people waiting to be employed by the
So
company.
these are real things. These are actually real things. And I think that the Labour Commission...
And the National Labour Department.
Yes.
What have they been doing?
Yes.
You're supposed to do some of these random whistle stops at some of these places just to find out from the, how do you call the workers.
And I'm putting this out. I'm putting this out for the Labour Commission to intervene. You have these people in your data. Invite them to a meeting and let them know that you cannot abuse the human rights of these people.
Terrible.
It's terrible. And I think that it's about time. On this day that we are speaking, this is a day that is for workers. And workers must be treated humanely. Nobody is saying that you should pamper them, but the human rights cannot be taken away from them.
But the Labour Commission themselves, do you have confidence in them? The Labour Commission or whatever aspect? Because
I agree. Some of them are corrupt.
Because I remember somewhere in 1998, when I was in tertiary institution, and we used to look for manual work. Sometimes you go to the employer, they say, go and bring a labor card. I hope they no longer issue it. Because it was a big problem. No matter how early you go to the labor office, it was around the seaside. You know, when you cross the ministries and
it's still there.
Yes. You remember people issuing the labor card. So usually they will issue the labor card from 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock. And by the nature of the queue, no matter how early he wakes up, and by then I didn't even know Accra very well, around 1997, 98. And I could see people paying bribe just to get a labor card. The employer will insist you have to bring the card. I remember being frustrated. I gave up that aspect. And then somebody gave me a clue that, look, go and teach in the private schools. You don't need a labor card. And that was how I managed to get my first job at Rips Academy. It's in Achimota. I don't know whether he's still there. Then I became a teacher over there. So I've been urging the young people looking for a job. If you finish tertiary institution, you don't have a job yet, go to the private schools. I was able to tell two people reported to me that they actually went and they got a job. In fact, the day I went to Rips Academy, and that very day I was recruited. Even though the job turned out to be very tough. I was meant to teach class 2 and 3. Oh my goodness. I became a dispute resolution officer instead of a teacher. So the labor office itself, let's find out whether it's really functioning. Is it helping workers? Especially, I'm glad you read that particular stuff. You read from the very beginning. They wanted maybe, I think, a database where they can match work with potential workers. And I think also, I mean, I remember in Britain, Job Plus Center, where they were actually actively matching people. Yes, maybe we needed something like that, where people can actually match. And as you said, but I've also heard some expatriates also expressing concerns about Ghanaian tips. So most workers,
but if you're expressing concerns about the attitude of Ghanaian workers, they should be telling you how much they're paying them.
I'm sure.
They should be telling you how much they're paying.
So the idea of pretending to be paying, and they also pretend they are working. Aside that aspect, that means that if you are not rewarding people seriously, they'll be tempted. So the temptation is also caused by the fact that So I am urging and I'm urging and imploring the National Labour Department and the National Labour Commission. Enough of sitting in the offices and just receiving complaints. Make some of these impromptu stop-bys, like Akando is doing. You may have whatever issues you have with Akando and so on. Make some of these fly-by stops at especially the restaurants and the malls. The malls. Accra Mall and ANC Mall and so on. Go there, do random stops there, speak to the workers there. Let them tell you with their plight, with the kind of situation they find themselves in. And they'll be amazed. There's also one very.
Well, I've been told there are instances where when you fall sick,
yes,
you bring a medical report, you are sacked.
Yes.
And it's not like you. It's a genuine medical report. They'll sack you.
Okay.
In fact, by the time you come, you've been replaced.
It's quite possible.
You are entitled to some 1 or 2 allowances. They won't even give you allowance, and you complain. They say, "Oh, get out."
It's possible. I remember
the sheer disrespect.
I remember dealing with a client. We have a legal clinic at the UPA. I remember a client coming. He had injury at the workplace. And then because of that, you could see that he sustained massive injury if you look at the medical reports. And he was employed by a Chinese company. I don't want to mention the details.
Yeah.
We were able to resolve it. We contacted the Chinese. The guy came to the office. We dealt with them. We were able to resolve it. But initially, he was being threatened of being sacked unless he comes to work. Or you shouldn't be sick for that long. And the guy was really, really seriously sick. But let me point something. I observed something in Melcombe industrial area. I think we need to commend them. I think they are also expatriates. So it's not everywhere.
No, it's not. Of course, we didn't see all of them.
I've seen that. I don't want to mention the terminology. The people who are unable to speak.
Yes.
I think obviously they said they can also hear. So, but then Melcombe is kind of employing that. I met about 5 of them, and they are very vigilant. They are actually doing the work very well.
Really?
Yes. They are not able to
but
speak.
how much are they paying them?
I understand that, but
it's okay. It's okay to employ physically challenged people.
Yes.
That's fine.
So
but how much are you paying?
The point I'm making, I don't know how much they are paying. But what I'm saying is that I'm commending them to also employ the physical challenge.
No, I get it.
While we employ, we should not forget the vulnerable ones.
No, look, yes, of course, it's highly commendable.
Yes.
It's a labor policy. In fact, nobody should be discriminated against, and I'm glad, Abraham, you are also a lawyer. Nobody should be discriminated against because of their physical challenge. Unless, of course, you have mental challenge. You have a mental problem. Apart from having a mental, how do you call it, a mental problem. All other challenges can be managed. People should be considered. So that's fine. And they must, and others must be, how do you call it, encouraged to do same. But I'm back to the issue I raised. What is their conditions of service? Anyway, so let's move on. Let's move on. So, whilst we are looking at, so there's Workers' Day. Today is Workers' Day. Some people have also been given some kind of work. It's not a full-time job, and in fact, okay. So this one is actually a full-time job. So they have been employed to go and sit at the apex court of this country as Supreme Court judges. And that in itself has triggered, as usual and very typical of us, all kinds of conversations about the timing of the appointment. And then also whether we aren't overpacking the courts. And so I'm happy that a former Director of Legal Affairs of the NDC is here. I'm sure he would have some insights on what may have perhaps what really is the philosophy or the thinking behind the appointment of these these 7 persons. So if you look at 7, actually, yes. So if you look at Graphic Online, the Graphic Online this morning is reporting that President John Dramani Mahama has nominated 7 justices of the Court of Appeal. Sorry, so it's Court of Appeal. Sorry, it's Court of Appeal, not Supreme Court. And I want to correct. Sorry about that. Court of Appeal for consideration for appointment to the Supreme Court. So they were the Court of Appeal, but they're going to the Supreme Court, so I was right.
Because I heard there are 19 in total.
No, so here we're talking 7. No, but if you add it to the 12, so that becomes 19, Supreme Court. So their justices said Dennis Dominic Ajay. So Annie, I don't know whether if you can put out that statement so that I can read it before I get the thoughts of I pick the thoughts of my guests who are here. The statement which was issued by Mr. Callistus, Dr. Callistus Mahama. If it's ready, please put it out so that we can read it. But okay, so whilst at it, let me just read what's on Graphic Online. It says that the President has nominated 7 justices of the Court of Appeal for consideration for appointment to the Supreme Court bench. Their justices Dennis Dominic Ajay. There's Gail Simon Subare. I hope I got the pronunciation. Subare. Okay. There's Sonja Jambepe. There's Kweku Tewia Akabuafo. There's Philip Bright Mensa. There's Jamperi Battels Kojo and Hafsat Amelo Amelboba. All right. The 7 were nominated by President Mahama in accordance with Article 1442 of the 1992 Constitution. The nominations were made known by a letter dated April 29, 2025, and signed by the Executive Secretary to the President, Dr. Khalisus Mohammed, addressed to the Acting Chief Justice, Justice Paul Bafo Boni. According to the Judicial Service, the Judicial Council will consider the nominations in preparations towards the successive processes. This means that after the consideration by the Judicial Council, the 7 justices will have to be approved by Parliament in accordance with Article 1442 before they fully become justices of the Apex Court. Now, Honorable.
Yeah.
Why these nominations and why now?
Well, I think vacancies existed. You know, there were some 4 judges who were frozen.
Okay, so here we go. So, pursuant to Article 1442 of the Constitution of Ghana, His Excellency President has nominated the following justices of the Court of Appeal to be considered for appointment to the Supreme Court. So you see their names, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it says, attached are their curricula vitae, and I trust that the Council will expedite action on their considerations. And it says, please accept the assurances of my highest consideration, signed by Dr. Khalisus Mahama.
So I was saying that you remember some 4 judges were frozen by Parliament, you remember?
True.
So we needed to fill those gaps. Now, the President has the constitutional right to do what he has done. There's no provision in the Constitution that says at a certain day when it is raining, don't appoint. So I'm now answering your timing issue. Or when the sun is very hot, don't appoint. So there's nothing like timing. Timing in respect of what? I don't get it. Everything that's going on within the judicial sector is going on. No court has refused to sit because the President has appointed. No proceedings has ended because the President has appointed somebody. So these things do not interfere with each other. So now these are Court of Appeal judges who have distinguished themselves. Nobody, the names there, just Senior Jamofe, who is one of the senior most judges who has marked time. Sir John, as I just said, Dennis, another excellent guy. So these are judges who have distinguished themselves, and I know almost all of them. And so these are not actually persons who are coming from outside. And every judge who, or anybody who enrolls as a judge, will definitely want to end up at the Apex Court. And so they have earned their call, and I don't see anything absolutely wrong with this. These are not political party appointees. These are appointees who were already in the system, and I'm sure some of them, the previous government would have appointed them to where they are now, and they are now being elevated. So, for instance, when you look at Hafizatu Amal Baba, she was actually appointed to this Court of Appeal by the previous administration, and now she's being elevated. So, I cannot read anything, any meaning into this, apart from saying that these are well-deserved promotions.
Okay. Let me read this by Professor Kweku Azar, and I would want to find out whether you agree with him or not before you come in, Ishaq.
Okay.
That says, Gogo, you know he likes to talk about good governance. He says, deeply concerned by the recent naming of 7 additional Supreme Court justices. Now, those of you who know, I'm talking about Professor Kweku Azar. He's a professor of accounting, but also a lawyer. Oftentimes, people think that, or sometimes people think he's a professor of law. No, he's a professor of accounting, but with some legal background. And it says that this concern is not about the qualification of the nominees. Indeed, we have publicly defended some of them when they were previously bypassed. Rather, our concern is structural, institutional, and constitutional. A court too large. The Supreme Court currently has 12 justices. If all 7 nominees are confirmed, the bench will expand to 19, making it one of the largest Supreme Courts in the world. For comparison, then he says U.S. Supreme Court has 9 justices, South Africa has 11, Kenya has 7. Okay. Now, a bench of 19 raises serious concerns about judicial effectiveness. Larger panels struggle with 1, coordination and timely deliberation, there's consensus building, coherent judgment, panel manipulation, individual judicial accountability. The likely result is fragmented opinions, delay in decision-making, and a further dilution of institutional clarity at a time when public trust in the judiciary is already fragile. Now, he talks about logistical and budgetary constraints. He looked at that. He looks at judiciary is chronically underfunded. He looks at that too. Now, this is what I found very interesting. He says 2 wrongs don't make a right. Okay. This latest round of appointments may be an attempt to rebalance the court, but 2 wrongs do not make a right. Stacking the court to restore balance, even if procedurally valid, undermines constitutional integrity. It continues a dangerous practice, the use of judicial appointments as a form of political correction, turning the apex court into a battleground for factional interest rather than a beacon of legal stability. We have thoroughly rejected the Chief Justice's early argument that the bench must expand to 20 justices due to backlog. The true cause of delays is ineffective case management, not the number of justices. And then this is where the issue about timing, right? Now he says troubling timing. Now this expansion also raises red flags of impropriety and timing. The naming of 7 justices comes at the moment when the Chief Justice herself is under investigations. Proceeding with such sweeping appointments under this cloud risk tainting the process with perception of impropriety and undermines the credibility of both the nominations and the institution. Gogo strongly warns against the normalization of political maneuvering in judicial appointments. These practices erode 1, judicial independence, 2, undermine public confidence, and 3, entrench partisanship on the bench. So in conclusion, we do not need a bloated bench. We need a credible, well-resourced and independent Supreme Court. Gogo calls for restraint, fidelity to constitutional procedures, and renewed focus on real reform, not symbolic expansion. The integrity of our judiciary must not be sacrificed on the altar of political expedience or damage control. What do you think?
If you amend the Constitution, then it will cure some of the things that he's talking about. There's no ceiling. There's no upper limit. So once there's no upper limit, you can't falter the president for making those appointments. The next thing, too, has to do with what he spoke about.
Balancing the court.
Well, okay, so that will be the third.
It's actually tied to the there's no upper limit matter.
So I'll come to that.
Okay.
The second thing I want to look at is also the issue of the timing, and that's because we have a Chief Justice who is an embattled Chief Justice. No appointment should be made. It doesn't make sense to me. Work must go on.
He's talking about perception.
It doesn't matter. The fact that a Chief Justice is under investigation, does that mean that no appointment should be made? The president's hand should be tied? I don't get that correlation. That one is simply, it doesn't work at all. The other thing you are talking about has to do with, you mentioned it, is it the appointments?
Is it to balance the court?
To balance the court. For me, this issue of balancing the court would have had place in my heart if these were persons appointed from outside the judicial setup. Because if you, the one who says that this is to balance the appointments in the Supreme Court, it means that you are accepting that the current people who are in the Supreme Court are tilted towards a certain political direction. So implicit in what he's saying is that those who are currently there are MPP. That's it. The implicit, what he's saying. Those who are there are currently MPP, and now those who are coming from the Court of Appeal are MPP, are NDC. How did he get to know that? How did...
But do you agree with him?
I don't know.
Do you hold the same view?
I don't.
That the bench is packed more with persons who have some sympathies for the MPP. Is that a view you share?
I have heard people say that.
But what's your personal view?
I have heard people say that per their rulings, they seem to be tilting towards one political party.
Okay.
And I'm not the one who said it. Their own national security advisor said that if rulings go in one particular way, it is a recipe for chaos. It's a national security concern. He said it. But I don't know their political persuasion, apart from the only one who stood for the whole parliamentary candidate.
Yes.
His own is out there and people know it. You can have pictures to support. But all these people, you can only speculate. So until Gogo is able to tell me that Professor Harry Mensah Bonsu has an MPP card, or Justice Puama has another NDC card, I cannot tell. But all that I'm saying is that clearly there's no time stipulated for these appointments. If there are vacancies, you fill them, and once there's no ceiling, you can also, as it were, appoint more to go in. Don't forget that there was a letter written by the embattled Chief Justice for the appointment of some judges, which is one of the subject matter of his petition against him. And you remember what she said in there, that the job of the Supreme Court is now becoming so cumbersome and so large. You remember in a letter to President Akufo-Addo.
Yes.
So the fact that the Supreme Court itself is yearning for more judges to come on board speaks to this appointment, and that this appointment is actually relevant because the practitioners at the Supreme Court are themselves saying that they are overwhelmed by the job. So there's nothing wrong with the timing. 2, the Chief Justice is before a committee, and that doesn't mean that appointments should not be made because she is before a committee. And 3, I cannot see how these appointments, which are coming from within the Court of Appeal, they are not coming from outside, they are coming from within the Court of Appeal, are meant to balance what is already in existence. For me, the President has exercised his right. Anybody who speaks should tell me that I am speaking and I'm going to quote this provision of the Constitution, and that it is wrong for the President to do what he did, and that the President breached this Constitution. In the absence of any breach, I cannot sit here and falter the President's action.
Okay. We'll take a short break. When we come back, I'll read a story to you from Majo Online, and we will try and see how we can reconcile the two positions as far as this matter is concerned. So you're watching Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. I'm here with Mr. Abraham Amaliba, who is the Director General of the National Road Safety Authority and also former head of the NDC's Legal Directorate. And then also Ishaq Ibrahim is a teacher of the law, UPSA, and also a member of the NPP's Legal Directorate and private legal practitioner as well. So we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll look at we'll continue with this conversation about the 7 justices who have been appointed to the Supreme Court.
MGL Logistics and Supply is your trusted partner, providing seamless solutions for all your procurement needs. From sourcing products to managing imports and exports, we ensure smooth and efficient transactions every step of the way. Whether you require goods from across the globe or need assistance in exporting your products to international markets, we got you covered. General trading is at the heart of our expertise. We specialize in a wide range of products, catering to various industries and markets. As a trusted dealership in building materials, we provide high-quality products that meet the demands of our construction projects. Additionally, we act as manufacturers' representatives, connecting producers with distributors. Our expertise in logistics is the backbone of our operations. We plan and execute transportation and delivery of goods, ensuring they reach their destination on time and in optimal condition. MGL Logistics and Supply, guaranteed satisfaction.
Mommy.
Michelle say, fe. Ah.
Different era, better result. Time has changed and time has brought Kel Charcoal Toothpaste. Healthy gums, anti-cavity, fresher breath, and it whitens teeth. Kel Chocolate Toothpaste. Sankofa.
Yenchi. Kel Chocolate Toothpaste.
Happy smile.
This advert is FDA approved.
Where to get Polytank?
Oh, and you're fine.
Go straight.
No, I want for left, right.
And you press right. Ghana na ye wono. So when you do more, and you data. Oh no! Abe, na here. Me pe Polytank ato. Enu ti na me nua ba otu pe bia be na ba hayo. O fu pe bia, e de entwa ye kura.
Akuya bulambo kotoman. Emua.
Like they take you by so. Go to the distributor and you give the original Polytank. You get a sound?
Polytank, Papa Nanka Sankasa.
I'm a branch manager. Of course, I accept only quality and affordable printed souvenirs for my promotional campaigns.
I'm the head of academic affairs of a very important institution in Ghana. Of course, we only deal with quality, reliable printing companies for our institution's printing materials. I'm talking about appointed time printing.
Appointed Time Printings. We take pride in our extensive print scope that transform your ideas into captivating visual masterpieces. We delve into the core objectives and vision of each print project. Precision printing is at the heart of our printing process as we meet your tight deadlines. Our rigorous inspections, color verification, and overall printing excellence are assured. 20 years of printing excellence. It's always a pleasure working with you to create a vibrant, dazzling printing experience that gives you a masterpiece. Appointed Time Printing, your world of quality and affordable printing.
Cratchy, unemu bua unkoisha Dr. Ban uye denwa.
Yeah. Oh, Missy Yamfan come and me burua.
Mami bro. Don't ya tell me ko bra. Mumi Yamfan ko Dr. Ban ho.
Dr. Ban oya de.
Bra, se bonu no mpemu adwuma sasabro slow Dr. Ban oye. Say ni me kona meka. Oh no mpemu nim di ono na ye expert nya zanfo no. O akra any Kumasi no mpemu expert yen kan kire o.
There was a time in Ghana when waste was everyone's problem and no one's responsibility. Do you remember when as children, going to Bola was such a chore? When the guys who worked with waste are shunned in the community, we seem to have forgotten them days when waste management was not dignified. Then came a vision, bold, unshakable, one that believed sanitation was not just a service, but a symbol of dignity. A revolution quietly began. A transformation from one Obuafo tricycle to thousands of waste collection vehicles. From open dump site to adding value to waste. From a job no one wanted to one that feeds thousands of homes. From dump site to dignity.
Okay, so you're live on Good Morning Ghana on Metro Television. I'm here with Mr. Abraham Amaliba, who is the Director General of the National Road Safety Authority and also acting Director General of the National Road Safety Authority, and also Ishaq Ibrahim is a lecturer at UPSA Law School and also a private legal practitioner and a member of the MPP's Legal Directorate. They're both here on Good Morning Ghana. I've told you, today we're taking it a lot more easy because it's Workers' Day. So we're resting, but at the same time, we're having a conversation about this country. Anyway, so before we went on that brief, we went on that breather, you talked about the fact that there was actually nothing constitutionally wrong with what the president has done. It is well within his right. That's valid. And then you also raise issues about who says that, the issue about timing. And that's the fact that the Chief Justice is under investigations, and so that the president should stop working. Yeah. The president will still continue to work, and so on and so forth. Now, speaking about the number of judges on the bench, the issue that came up in the past, and we've heard the NDC publicly criticize the then government for what they term as packing the courts with MPP loyalists, and expressing concern that we have too many people on the bench, too many judges of the Supreme Court. Some would ask, what has changed? Why are you also packing the court with judges? That's 7, add to the 12, that's about 20, that's about 19. And Gertrude Torkornoo was actually at the time, in the past, was saying that we need about 20 judges to be able to deal with the numerous cases that are before the courts in order to expedite action and discharge them as quickly as possible. Is this singular decision a departure from the position you've taken, or we are wrong? So you've answered one part of the question. Justice Torkornoo herself indicated that there's so much work there. Yeah. And who else can tell us that the crocodile has one eye if it's not a fish? So that has been answered. So there's so much work. And she was even asking that we should go to 20. This 19. So that has been answered. The only beef that people had with Torkornoo was the manner in which, the procedure in which she decided to deal with the issue. She's not the appointing authority. So a letter couldn't have been coming from her to the president. And she even naming the judges. That is where... What should have been the normal process? Oh, like what is happening is the president who consults and makes his own deductions and gives the list to the Judicial Council. It's not the Chief Justice, who is also a worker, who should be the one to, initiate it. That's where the problem is. But the substance of what she was saying is not lost on us, that there's so much work there, and we need to increase the numbers of judges. So this goes. But did you agree with her then, that there was a lot of work there? No. If you read something that coming from the Fifikwete, yes, we didn't disagree with her on the amount of work that should be done there. Okay. I think what Fifikwete was saying is that you've already packed them with MPP loyalists. And that. But we didn't attack the amount of work that has been done there. Yes. Now, the other issue of packing the cause of MPP loyalists clearly was born out of the rulings that emanated from the court. Consistently, you had the Supreme Court ruling in favor of the government. And that was even an issue for no less a person than the National Security Advisor or coordinator or minister. To the extent that he said that if those rulings continue to go that way, it will lead to an insurrection or an uprising, which is a national security issue. So when people say that they packed the courts with MPP loyals, it is born out of the rulings that came out from the Supreme Court. Not that empirically those people can point at the judges, these judges say that you are MPP, you are NDC, you are this. It was born, it was deducted from the rulings, which also had the National Security Advisor also complaining about them. So is there so much work for the Supreme Court judges? The answer is yes. Why am I saying yes? Former Chief Justice Torkornoo has said it, and I cannot dispute it. Are they
MPP judges on the Supreme Court, I cannot say, but people have made some deductions and said that because the rulings are going in one particular direction, that is why they said that the court is packed by people from one political persuasion.
Yeah, but Fifi Kwete has given a shot in your arm. He says that they are MPP loyalists.
And that's
so
what I'm saying.
Don't shy away from
I am telling you how he arrived at that. Today, when you call Fifi Kwete to ask him, Fifi Kwete, have you seen the party card of Ahmadu Seidu, my Lord Ahmadu Seidu? He will say no. But he will go further to say that I said that because the rulings were geared towards one side, to the extent that their own national security minister had to complain. That's where I drive my submission from. That's what Fifi will tell you. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right, Ishak.
Thank you very much. This is a very interesting topic for a number of reasons. I'll explain why.
Are you going to comment? You're going to commend the president, I can see.
No, I'm not going to commend the president, but I will say something very interesting.
Hey.
I promise you on that.
Okay.
You see, at least, I don't know all the judges, but I know Justice Ajay.
Okay.
He's a very intelligent.
You mean Dennis Ajay?
Dennis Ajay. He was my lecturer for interpretation at the Ghana School of Law.
Okay.
I've read a number of books. He has written books on interpretation, land law.
Is that him?
Yes. He has written books on interpretation. I've read it. It's a very good quality book. He has written a book on constitutional law of Ghana. It's a very good quality book. He has written a book on land law. At least the 3 books I've read it. It's an international standard. And I think last year or 2 years, he was actually appointed to the African Court of Human Rights. And he has been a former dean of JIMPA before, former dean of the Faculty of Law at JIMPA. And he's always having this volunteering attitude. I remember him coming to teach at our faculty 2 years ago as a guest lecturer. And just 2 weeks ago, when I had the opportunity of meeting him, there was a public lecture in my university when he came. I invited him if he could come and teach my class. He was so happy he gladly accepted. So I have no doubt that people of that nature have the competence to be in the Supreme Court. And I think he has been a Court of Appeal judge since 2010. That is not to say that the others are not qualified. At least for him, I know him closely. I've had his tuition for almost a year, so I know him. He's a good quality person. So it should have been a welcome. Nobody should have doubted it. But the issue we are having is that the NDCs are not doing it from principal perspectives. You see, we have every reason to be suspicious, to complain, not necessarily because these people are not adequately qualified to be the Supreme Court, but the person who is making the appointment. The NDC people, including my good friend here, I'm sorry to say, are not arguing on principles grounds. So let's not quote Fifi. Let's quote him. I remember arguing this point with him on in November at TV3. I made it clear that the appointment was necessary. And I was arguing from principle perspective. I'm not going to depart from it. Increasing the number was good then. It's still good now. But the problem is there.
So I predicted that you are going to commend the president.
No, I'm not. Let me come.
But you say it's good.
No, I said increasing the number.
Okay.
But I said the problem is the person who is appointed.
Okay.
They are not principal people. Why was I saying so? If you look at England and that of some countries, few cases get to the Supreme Court. Sometimes the Supreme Court is even underutilized. But in Ghana, our filtering system is quite poor. So many cases get to the Supreme Court. In fact, we should have a group of people who will be dedicated to filtering these cases so that they don't even get there. But our filtering system seems to be very poor, maybe because of the nature of the Constitution and the nature of our law. So more cases get over there. So it was for this reason Tokono proposed it. And I remember he saying that their complaint was because of the person who was making the recommendation. Again, which is not right, because there's nothing wrong with the Chief Justice making a proposal. There's nothing
in the Constitution. Tell me where the Constitution says Chief Justice can do that.
No, the fact that
we are two lawyers here. When we are two lawyers, we talk law.
Your attitude to law is very, very poor. The fact that something says you can't do, you can do something doesn't mean you can do it.
I've already
when
said,
a lawyer
when
refuses to play the law, when a lawyer refuses to
I'm going to play the law more. When something is not explicitly forbidden, in law it is allowed. Unless something is explicitly forbidden. So it's not only the Chief Justice.
You are wrong. You are misinforming the people. When there's a laid down procedure. No, you are misinforming. When there's a laid down procedure,
but let him go.
You cannot go out of the procedure.
Give him the opportunity.
Yes, go ahead. When
so
you
tell him to be quiet so that when I finish, you give him opportunity to respond. Otherwise, Ghanaians cannot understand.
I understand that. So
when something in law, when something is not explicitly forbidden, it is allowed. The Chief Justice can make proposal. The watchman looking after your house can make a proposal to the president. The farmer can make a proposal to the president. Every Ghanaian have got that right to make a proposal to the president. That proposal is not binding. Are you saying that the president's wife does not give him recommendations? The president is the final appointing officer who would select the names he wants. So the fact that you are making a proposal is not binding. So there's nothing wrong with the Chief Justice making this proposal. But you remember I was telling you, NDCs are not making it on principle ground. I argued with him on TV3. I made that particular point that there was a need to increase the number. And he said, no, I'm not going to do it. If you go to Ghana Web today, on 12 November 2023, we're not going to Fifi quote here. We are going to quote Amalaba. Amalaba gave some arguments. And what he said today is not what he said then. Look at it. You can go to Ghana Web. So they call him constitutional and human rights activist. Mr. Ibrahim Amalaba has criticized the appointment of 3 additional judges.
They call me. How do you call me?
No, that's why I said they describe you here. I said they call you here as a human rights activist. Look at it. They said the human rights, the constitutional and human rights activists.
So they are not wrong.
Yes. Mr. Ibrahim Amalaba has criticized the appointment of 3 additional judges to the Supreme Court, describing it as needless and wasteful allocation of scarce resources. He argued that...
Which year was this?
2023, November 2023. Just last year.
So this was a view he held in 2023.
Yes.
Okay, you let him go.
He argued that while there is no specific limit to the number of judges that can be appointed by the president, maintaining the current number of the Apex Court, which is 13, should be sufficient. The state can do with 10. The state can do with 10, and now there is 13. It should be maintained, he said. Mr. Amalaba expressed concern about the increasing size of the Supreme Court, especially at the time when the country is relying on International Monetary Fund bailout. We are still relying on it.
I'll respond to it.
The former Director of Legal Affairs for the National Democratic shared his views during an interview on Accra 100.5. So I remember he said on TV3 with me, debating him, he said it was overbloated and there was no need for it. So I think their problem is that they cannot justify it on principle grounds unless they depart from their principles. And from what he's saying today, they don't even have principles. They argue depending on whose side they are. If they are in opposition, they have a particular argument. Then if they are in government, the argument simply changed. As I said, as it's served by the fact that because of the filtering problem, we have a problem. So maybe perhaps we need to amend to put an upper limit. And perhaps the upper limit was there to put it for people who are gentlemen. Apparently there is no, and people who have principles. You can see the gentleman attitude is gone. We can't work with conventions. So probably we need a hard law to tell people that this is how you ought to do things. So that is a problem area. And you also said the timing. Yes, the timing is very, very, very important. Look, about a few weeks ago, I said, when it comes to Galamsey, the NDC government, we are dealing with a corn government. When it comes to our judiciary, the NDC is a risk to our Fourth Republic. They are. The judiciary, look, in every country that have succeeded in sustaining their democracy, it is usually the judiciary that saves it. Again, let's take a trip to England. You see, the English constitution used to be based on the supremacy of the king. It was the judiciary. The king used the supremacy of the king and said the king's word is the law. he used it to abuse people in large numbers. I believe it was the judiciary that saved the United Kingdom. The judiciary came to realize that, look, moving the supremacy from the king to parliament will safeguard the liberty of the individual, following John Locke's teachings. Chief Justice Coke used an opportunity to reinterpret the British unwritten constitution to make it clear that supremacy now lies with parliament. And they call it a king in parliament. So, so more or less, whatever the king said, parliament would have to agree with you before you can implement it. And I believe this was what saved the United Kingdom. So the king no longer had power, especially Henry VIII clauses was used to govern the people anyhow. Supremacy had moved over there. And it's not only United Kingdom. If you look at almost every country,
can you zero in on this matters?
Can you zero in on this matters? I'll bring it. So you see that. So
this
the judiciary, and just right, no, they are important to tell you how important your judiciary is.
Okay.
You do not toy with it. It was this reason that Montesquieu believed that power should not rely heavily on one hand. And what we are doing today is, I believe the Chief Justice is targeted as a collateral damage.
That's your belief.
The main reason is not just the Chief Justice.
That's your belief.
Yes, is to put fear. So they will start with the Chief Justice. They will put fear in every government that the executive will use Article 146 to remove you if you misbehaved. They will do that. And we already know. In somewhere October, November last year, the Speaker of Parliament, who is known to be an NDC member, he had a meeting and he made it clear in public that the president was in bed with the justices of the Supreme Court and that they were sinning against the Constitution and they needed to repent. We have seen their foot soldiers and their attack dogs going to TV stations and making it fair. I listened to Musafa Ogbande, for example, who made it very clear that, and he works with the president right now, who made it very clear that even if he has a case, he will not take it to court because he will not get justice. And that they needed to remove the Chief Justice and most of the justices of the Supreme Court today. He made that particular point. The president previously made a point that with this Chief Justice, the Supreme Court was at risk, and that there was need to remove the Chief Justice before one can get justice in the country.
He said that?
Yes, yes.
Where?
I saw clips of it. If I got a chance...
Do you have the video here?
No, I don't have the video, but I read it.
Online?
Yes, online. Just like...
What's the
source? Look.
What's the source?
Deny that what I read online about you is not true.
I'm coming to respond to what's the source of that? Because
it's important.
It's important. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, the source. I'm very much interested.
If you give me time, I'll bring it.
Yes, I want to know the source.
So the point I'm going to make is that we've got enough evidence that either the president, the Speaker of Parliament, who is part of the NDC, the attack dogs such as Musafa Ogbande, and other people have made it clear that the NDC government have a problem with our judiciary. So, and they also said that Akufo-Addo has made a number of appointments. So we can sense that this is meant to what? Dilute the court they are already talking about. And as you said, when you read the Fifi quotes, one, he was saying that leave some for us to come and make more appointments. Is that not clear enough? This is NDC executive talking to us. NDC executive talking. Let's assume John Mahama himself doesn't say it. His agents are saying it. As a lawyer, what's the difference between the agent and the principal saying something? They are more or less, you can use rules of attribution to attribute what they are saying to that of John Mahama. Even if we don't have direct evidence that John Mahama is saying.
Let me ask you this, just briefly. Let me ask you this.
Yes.
So, assuming, without admitting, that there were some commentaries in the past about the attitude of the suspended Chief Justice.
Yes.
And the wish of some persons that she no longer is there as the Chief Justice, and whether she's going to be removed or whatever it is. If there isn't any basis for a Chief Justice to be queried, can that wish or that aspiration manifest?
I'm glad you asked these questions. look at what has been given, what has been sent to the president. At least they've not come out from former forces. But what has been leaked so far, no reasonable person can establish a prima facie.
You know, the challenge we have, the challenge is actually, you see, the challenge we have is to verify the authenticity.
I know, but so we challenge the government to publish them now. The government should, even though the Supreme, they have been leaked already, because at least I've seen what they call it.
How can you, a lawyer, be saying they should publish those things?
No, but you have been leaking it. The presidency has been leaking them.
No, the presidency who?
Listen, the communication director of the NDC have gone on television.
But he doesn't work on the presidency.
It doesn't matter, but we know he has access to it. What he says. He's their communication director. Are you saying that when I sit here and say something without issuing clear disclaimer, can't you ask me what I said?
You see, it's important. It's important that we speak the facts. I'm saying that.
Yes.
Sami Jemfi is the communications director of the NDC.
Okay.
He's not the director of communications at the presidency.
I understand.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So he's speaking for the party.
Okay.
Now, if Sami Jemfi decides to go somewhere and put out some information, are we supposed to now accept that information hook, line, and sinker and say because Sami Jemfi is saying it, and so that information is authentic? Can we work with that?
Please, Imoro,
that's what I'm saying.
You are in Ghana. I am in Ghana.
Okay, so
are you saying that can we really rule our entirely? At least what we know so far through the informal channels.
We haven't heard anything.
We know in government
from either the presidency.
I don't trust him. I don't trust him. I know there is an agenda and they are.
So you believe in the information which has been put out?
Look, some of their communicators. Just somebody highlighted to me about Hamza, who was here about 3 days ago.
Okay.
He said the Chief Justice is down. Is next. Their communicators are saying this.
Hamza said that?
Yes.
Where?
That the EC is next. I mean, somebody just pointed to me on his Facebook. Listen, the EC
on Hamza's
is next.
Facebook page.
Yes. So these things, we know them that are going on. The EC is next.
Okay.
You see that? So we know that Chief Justice is a collateral damage. The point I'm trying to make is...
So you are saying that, assuming what has been put out is even authentic, you're saying that they are spurious?
Frivolous that no reasonable person could find a prima facie case on them. They are frivolous. One, that there was a gentleman who was consistently coming late. Honorable has just sat here to say that such people ought to be fired. If it becomes a consistent habit, maybe 1 or 2 times, 3 times with a reason, we will understand. Somebody is consistently late, the person has been spoken to, and they have fired them. There's a route for you to pursue. Not the Chief Justice, not to pursue removal. If you think you were unfairly dismissed, the regulators are there, the court is there for you to seek redress. One person also alleges their rights was violated. Article 33 of the 1982 Constitution provides an avenue for you to take it through the High Court to get your rights be addressed. Do you take that for somebody to be removed as a Chief Justice? So some of the reasons that we have known so far, and again there is this speculation about an expenditure. So if there is some issues about expenditure, you are not happy with it. When a responsible government, when they write to the Auditor General, the Auditor General report will be the right place to go, not an ordinary citizen.
But isn't the Auditor General's comments?
It was sourced from the Auditor General.
No, how did they say? The Auditor General comments allowed for that.
It's the Auditor General's report that is used.
There was an explanation that was given as to why certain expenditure was incurred.
Yes.
The Auditor General accepted that explanation. Then make queries that are not reflected in this particular one. For me, so far, what we have seen, they have only used it as an excuse. And another one people are complaining about is a discretionary power given to the president, that he may suspend the Chief Justice. Not he must. He may.
Okay.
The frivolous nature of this particular thing I have seen, if I were the president guided by Article 296, I wouldn't exercise it. Especially with these utterances coming from their attack dogs everywhere or their agents. I mean, look at it. If this frivolous nature, somebody have come to say my rights are violated, and what is the nature of these rights?
Okay.
These are frivolous.
All right, Ishak.
So,
I think I'll let Abraham Amaliwa come in.
Article,
we have just
Article 146. This is not the first time Article 146 is being exercised.
Yeah.
It has been exercised before. On Loretta Lamte, on 3 others by Akufo-Addo. When we are always talking about Charlotte, it's like people think that it was only Charlotte she fired. She fired Amadou Tanko and then something Amankwa. 3. Akufo-Addo fired 3. Now.
I think it's Georgia Amankwa.
Something Amankwa. Now, Moro. He is talking about the allegations against the Chief Justice and saying that there are remedies. And so we could have resorted to the remedies. Charlotte Osei was alleged to have breached procurements. And it was about procurement breaches. The Procurement Act provides for how that can be cured. I'm sure you know. That you can go to PPA to have them rectify your conduct. Did we give Charlotte Osei that opportunity? So, Charlotte Osei can be removed, not based on her work, because she conducted a fruitful election that brought in Akufo-Addo. Successful one. But procurement breaches, did we give Charlotte Osei that opportunity to rectify it as per the Procurement Act? Then you come here and sit and say that the Chief Justice could have been dealt with by going to court and doing what? No.
The argument is that this is the Chief Justice, the head of an arm of government.
Look, on any day.
And so be careful.
On any day, the job of the Electoral Commissioner is more important than the Chief Justice. Okay. Because if the Electoral Commission gets it wrong, this country will be in flames. What?
This is ridiculous.
You know that?
No.
Don't resort to him. Leave him. If the EC gets it wrong on election day, this country will be up in flames. If the Chief Justice gets it wrong, you only go for review. Because when the Electoral Commission gets it wrong and the people rise up, we've seen it in other countries. So what are you protesting? On the issue of me, he quoting me, Moro, I made this statement long before the Chief Justice came out to ask for more judges. As a citizen of this country, I have every right to have opinions of Metro TV. I have opinions on your host. Others have opinions about me. But if I'm confronted with the evidence and the facts, I have every right to change my mind. What is wrong with that? At the time I was making that statement, I believed that we could have 10 judges to deal with it. But the Chief Justice, who is in the water, has come out to say that the job there is more than what I envisage. Am I not reasonable? It's only a fool who is confronted with the facts and does not change his mind. So, look, all what he has said, he has not quoted one provision in the Constitution. And when we lawyers meet, that's what we do. That says that the president cannot do what he did. Now they go to Article 269 and talk about discretion and say that may. And so the president should have come up with a constitutional instrument and provide for rules for how to remove to ask the woman to step aside. How? This matter has been dealt with by Justice Dateba. Dateba says that on every day, administrators exercise all manner of discretion. If you are going to tie them to make a rule before you exercise your discretion, no work will go on. It is only when you are exercising quasi-judicial functions, which is not being exercised every day, then that one you come off constitutional instrument. But administratively, we exercise our discretion. You are going to ask the administrator to first write rules before he exercises his discretion. The president did not engage in a quasi-judicial function by asking the Chief Justice to step aside. the president exercises his executive powers. How does that call for a constitutional instrument? You do these arguments, you are flawed, you come back, you do it, you are flawed. So there's nothing to say again.
You were asking to provide evidence of
yes, of the John Mahama one. Yes.
Modern Ghana reported 20th September 2023.
Okay.
The headline was, "Is President Mahama a danger to the judiciary in Ghana?"
Okay.
So you could even say,
who wrote that?
Modern Ghana.
Yeah, but that sounds more like an article.
No, this was, let me come.
Okay.
They are going to quote him. This was 20th September 2023. It said, ex-president and NDC presidential candidate, Mr. John Dramani Mahama, accused President Nana Akufo-Addo of appointing pro-MPP judges to the bench and called on pro-NDC lawyers to pursue vocations on the bench to achieve a balance. So yes, he has a problem with the judiciary.
But that is not the same as what you said earlier.
No, the point is that, the general point, I'm going to read further, but the general point I was making is that they believe that making this appointment is necessary to balance things.
So these judges who have appeared before them are NDC. You are Sir John.
He said
Sir Dennis. You just said that Sir Dennis is a very good material.
Let me explain.
Is he MPP?
He spent about 10 minutes praising him.
The point I am making
You spent 10 minutes praising the man.
No, the point I'm making is that in opposition, you said the Akufo-Addo have appointed pro-MPP members and advised your NDC members to pursue vocations on the legal profession. And then when you come, you balance it. You said that. And if you are making an appointment now, are we stupid to know that you are not trying to implement what
he wants to know whether if what you said in the past is what you're doing.
No. The president spoke to NDC lawyers. Wait. I am the founder of the NDC Lawyers Association. I founded it. He spoke on that platform and advised NDC lawyers. If these appointments were coming from that stock, then you can of course say that what you are saying. It's simple logic. If these appointments, it was Adawudu, it was me, because we were the recipients of his information, we received that, and now he's appointing us to the Supreme Court. They say, coming from the back of what he said, he's now practicalizing it.
Okay.
But these are career-trained judges who have been sitting at the Court of Appeal. You use 10 minutes to keep praises on Sir Dennis. When you finish here, he will call you and ask you, am I NDC? He will call you.
Okay. So, Kojocho Mwafo, he says today he's been very impressed with your submission on the matter.
Oh, Masha.
Kojocho Mwafo, yes. Yeah, but he has a letter for you.
Okay.
To throw some further and better particulars on a sense of admiration for your submission today. So,
Okay.
it says, Moro.
Yes.
Just a quick one. It says, Moro, with all due respect to my friend.
Yes.
Apparently you guys are good friends.
Okay, yes.
To my friend Ishak, he is making scurrilous allegations.
Okay.
That have no bearing on the issues at stake. Is there a prima facie case against the CJ? The Council of State say so. Has the President followed the dictates of the Constitution? Has he followed Article 146 to the letter? Yes, he has. Has the case been adjudicated? No, it hasn't. So the CJ still has the opportunity to vindicate herself. Ishak, in his usual manner, is prattling on about apparently nothing. When he was in favor of Charlotte Osei being removed, when Domelevo was removed incorrectly as per the Supreme Court ruling, albeit a moot ruling, 3 years after the fact, what did Ishak say? Ishak, shame on you.
But Joe is my good friend.
Yes.
Actually, we've met here.
And he continues to say that you are not entitled to your own set of facts.
Yeah.
And that the Auditor General's report spelled out what the financial malfeasance was in the CJ's issue. Other lesser mortals will go to jail if they did what the CJ is alleged to have done. And he says you're still litigating the results of the last election, and that Get with the program Ishak is coming to a cinema near you. Don't worry, Amaliba, you'll be the CJ one day. However, he's predicting that someday you'll be the CJ, and he won't have any qualms with that at all. And then just briefly, Salam Alaikum says, it's sad how our discourse has become these days. Instead of quoting relevant portions directly from the 1992 Constitution, Lawyer Ishak has rather resorted to quoting about 4 or 5 names, from Lawyer Maliba to Mustafa Gbandi to Sami Jefi, and then Hamza, not to talk about the current speaker and the president of the land. So we're wasting our time to watch our favorite show, and so we deserve the best. Good morning, Sani Salihu says that message. And Musa from the UK says that Captain Moro, in all of this, let's put the blame where it lies. The pace at Akufo-Addo is to blame for many things that are being repeated today. Akufo-Addo said the president for the politicization of state institutions. We didn't want this trend to continue with the state of affairs where professionals who are supposed to serve the country with impartiality have decided to give their loyalties to their party and to their appointors. In this instance, who can blame Mahama when he suspects that these judges elevated by Akufo-Addo will not play fair? Akufo-Addo did not destroy everything, and that's the... Akufo-Addo did destroy everything, and that's the truth of the matter. Good morning from Mansa Musa. Now, let me just do this for Carlos, and then I'll do a birthday dedication. Carlos says, we the listeners of Metro TV are tired of constantly hearing about the Chief Justice. Who is she? She has been suspended and will not most likely be removed. Many great initiatives and programs that benefit the youth have been introduced. We want to hear more of those so that we can take advantage of them. Carlos from Odododio. And let me just do this birthday dedications before we say bye-bye. And this one here... Let me do this because we're running out of time. Okay. Okay. So happy birthday to Cynthia Obeng. May your special day be filled with joy, love, and celebration. Wishing you continued success in your endeavors as a relationship manager at Cal Bank. You are an entrepreneur, marketer, brand ambassador, and communications expert. May God's favor and guidance be upon you, and may your year ahead be filled with growth, prosperity, and happiness. Cheers to an amazing day and an incredible year. That's coming from Dunyo Bodia Robert from Metro TV, by extension in the Ignite Media Group. So happy birthday, Cynthia Obeng, and we wish you the best as you celebrate the day. Anyway, so I want to say a big thanks to you, Ishaq Ibrahim, for joining us. You're a law lecturer with UPSA, and also Mr. Abraham Amaliba, who is the Director General of the National Road Safety Authority. My name is Aldo Moro. Once again, we wish you a happy Workers' Day, and all to our staff and all our friends who are workers. And please enjoy the day. But please, when enjoying the day, make sure that you do that in moderation. We need you alive tomorrow to come help build Mother Ghana. Have a good day. Thanks for watching Good Morning Ghana. Bye.